The second I sank into the seat of the private jet my adoptive mom had set up, I checked my phone and saw dozens of missed calls from Chloe, plus a crazy flood of unread iMessages. The press conference starts in half an hour. Ethan, where the hell are you? Don't say I didn't warn you. If you don't show up today, I'll never let you lay a single finger on me again. Years ago, even one tiny frown from her would have had me stressed out all day. But now, my heart was dead calm, chillingly calm, almost ridiculous. I powered off my phone, yanked out the SIM card, and tossed it aside like it meant nothing. The plane started taxiing, the massive thrust shoving me back into my seat. Through the window, the city I'd called home for 4 years kept shrinking fast. I closed my eyes. Goodbye, Chloe. Goodbye, my biological parents. For years ago, our lives were never supposed to cross paths. From today on, we'd have absolutely nothing to do with each other ever again. Meanwhile, at the press conference, after firing off yet another iMessage that got zero response, Chloe finally snapped and called me again. Unlike all the earlier calls that just rang and rang, this time a cold, robotic voice answered. We're sorry. The number you have dialed has been turned off. Turned off? Chloe's face instantly darkened. Her parents, my biological parents, leaned closer. Chloe, did you get a hold of Ethan? Chloe just shook her head. My father's face soured, and my mother was so upset she started crying. All those reporters are waiting outside. If he doesn't show up, they'll be even more convinced Julian is an imposter and that we've been wronged. I can't believe Ethan. Julian's in such a critical situation, and his own brother won't even say a word to help. What did I do in a past life to deserve such a selfish son? My father wrapped an arm around her, trying to comfort her. Don't worry. Ethan may have grown up with that questionable family and lacks any real class, but his feelings for Chloe are real. If Chloe tells him to be here, he wouldn't dare say no. He sounded confident as hell, but Chloe froze. A few days ago, she would have agreed without hesitation, totally sure I'd come running the second she called. But remembering how cold I'd been lately, how I'd even shut her down this morning, an uneasy feeling hit her. A weird anxiety crept in out of nowhere. I'll go find him, she said, starting to stand. But just then, her assistant rushed in. Ms. Hayes, your husband, Ethan, has arrived. Chloe's eyes lit up as she strode out in her heels, letting out a breath she didn't even realize she'd been holding. In that split second, she couldn't tell if her relief was because I could finally clear Julian's name, or just because me showing up proved I still cared about her. But when she reached the doorway, I wasn't there. Instead, a man in a sharp suit stood waiting. Ms. Hayes, he said politely. I'm Ethan's attorney. I'm here to represent him at the press conference. Chloe's expression turned ice cold. Where is Ethan? The lawyer smiled faintly. Mr. Miller is unavailable. Unavailable. Chloe frowned. Is he sick? Now that she thought about it, my face had looked unusually pale earlier. She was about to push for answers when my biological parents walked out. Seeing I hadn't come myself, their expressions turned grim. What is Ethan thinking? Sending a lawyer instead of showing up himself? Is he trying to mess with the media on purpose? Enough, my father snapped. We'll have the lawyer clarify things. Otherwise, the reporters out there will tear us apart. At that point, my parents and Chloe all assumed I'd send a lawyer to confirm Julian really was my biological brother. The lawyer didn't explain a thing. He just walked straight up to the podium. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. Davis, legal counsel for Ethan Miller. No wasting time. I'm here today to make 2 announcements on his behalf. First, Mr. Miller is formally severing all ties with the Miller family. From this day forward, he and the Millers will have no further association. The room exploded. Severing ties with the Millers? Didn't that basically confirm the rumors, that they favored the fake son and drove the real heir away? My biological parents went pale with rage. Mr. Davis continued calmly. Second, Mr. Miller has initiated legal proceedings to file for divorce from Ms. Chloe Hayes. Chloe's head snapped up. Divorce? Before she could even wrap her head around it, the reporters went nuts. Ms. Hayes, is this divorce related to Julian Miller? Julian wasn't satisfied stealing Ethan's inheritance. Did he have to steal his wife too? Chaos broke out. Bodyguards rushed in, shielding Chloe and the others and hustling them away. At that exact moment, my plane was already landing in Milan. Stepping out of the VIP terminal, I was met by hundreds of men in black suits, lined up perfectly in 2 rows. In unison, they shouted. "Welcome home, sir." My adoptive parents stepped forward and pulled me into a hug. "Ethan, you came back on such short notice," my father exclaimed. "Otherwise, I'd have booked every public square in Europe to celebrate." "Dad, you're being extra," I said. It was exactly this dramatic flair that made me avoid letting them visit me in the States all these years. But even while pretending to complain, I couldn't stop smiling. It felt damn good to be cared for like this. My adoptive mom, eyes shiny with tears, hugged me tight. "No matter what happened, you're home now. That's all that matters." Then she pulled back, frowning. "It's only been a few years. How did you get so thin? What did the Millers and Chloe do to you?" As she said that, a dangerous glint flashed in her eyes. I hadn't told her everything, but she'd already sent people to dig into exactly how my biological parents and Chloe treated me. The thought made her furious. "Son, are you sure you don't want us to handle it for you? Whether it's the Hayes family or the Millers, we could crush them with a snap." I knew she wasn't bluffing, but I just shook my head. "No need. They're strangers to me now. I already wasted 4 years on them. I'm not wasting another second." I wrapped an arm around her. "Mom, I'm craving your pasta. Let's go home." I got into the car first. Once I was out of earshot, my father asked quietly, "Honey, are we really just letting the Millers and Chloe get away with this?" My mother laughed coldly. "Of course not. After what they did to Ethan, I'll never let it slide. Start the preparations." Her expression was icy. "In 1 month, we're taking Ethan back to the States ourselves. I'm going to make every single one of them pay." Back in Chicago, the press conference ended in total chaos. As they were leaving, a pale Julian clutched Chloe's hand. "Chloe, Ethan is trying to destroy me. Everyone knows I'm not the real Miller heir now. I'm going to lose my home." Chloe frowned, clearly distracted. "The Millers have always treated you like their own son." "But I'm not their son," Julian sobbed. "I want a real family. My birth parents abandoned me. You're the only person I truly love." Chloe was startled. Looking down, she saw Julian staring at her with intense emotion. "Chloe, I know you've loved me all these years. The only thing keeping us apart was your marriage to Ethan. Now that he's filed for divorce, can we finally be together?" He pulled her close, leaning in for a kiss. But Chloe went stiff. She'd always imagined this moment with Julian, fantasized about it. Even when she and I were together, it was Julian she pictured. Yet now, as his lips touched hers, she felt absolutely nothing. Instead, my image flashed in her mind, my sun-kissed skin, my solid chest. Chloe shoved him away. Julian stared at her, stunned. "Who said Ethan and I are divorced?" she said coldly. "Until I sign those papers, he's still my husband." Without another word, she got out of the car, leaving Julian sitting there, face ghost white. Chloe rushed home. "Ethan, get out here," she screamed, demanding answers. "Silence. He's not back yet." She grabbed the driver. "Did Ethan come home after leaving the club this morning?" The driver looked confused. "No, ma'am. He went to the airport." Chloe froze. The color drained from her face. "The airport? I thought you knew," the driver stammered. "He took a call. Said something about going home." Chloe stood there, stunned. The mom I'd mentioned clearly wasn't my biological mother. That meant only one thing. Her eyes widened. I'd gone back to Italy. She ran upstairs. My study was empty. My passport and luggage were gone. Her face went white. I wasn't just divorcing her. I was leaving the country. Her chest tightened. She spun to her assistant. "Get to the airport. Prep the private jet. I'm going to Italy." As the assistant started arranging things, Chloe's mother called. "Chloe, where are you?" Julian tried to kill himself. Chloe's hand froze around the phone. "Prep the plane," she told her assistant. "I'll be at the airport in an hour." "Which city in Italy?" the assistant asked. Chloe stopped short. She suddenly realized she had no clue where I was. She'd never paid enough attention to remember. "Check every flight to Italy today," she snapped. "Find out where Ethan went." At the hospital, Julian was hysterical. "You should have let me die? Everyone knows I'm an imposter now. What's the point?" The old Chloe would have found that pitiful. Today, it just annoyed her. Her thoughts drifted to me. No matter how wronged I'd been, I always dealt with it quietly. Never dramatic. Never a burden. Her chest ached. As she entered, she heard my father yelling. "What the hell is Ethan trying to pull? Divorce? Cutting ties? Now everyone thinks we abused him." My mother sneered. "He's young, but so malicious. Utterly shameless." They turned to Chloe. Did you find Ethan? Tell him to get here now and kneel to apologize to Julian. Chloe snapped. He went back to Italy. What? My mother recovered first. He went back to those people? Ungrateful brat. Why would he choose those paupers? My father scoffed. Relax. He'll crawl back. But he filed for divorce, Chloe said quietly. They laughed. Don't be ridiculous. He's just playing hard to get. Then her assistant rushed in. Ms. Hayes, I checked. Ethan wasn't on any commercial flight to Italy today. My mother sneered. See? It's all an act. Chloe secretly exhaled in relief, then froze. If he hadn't left, where was he? What? He shot back, his face going ghost white on the spot. Stellar Group is canceling all of our contracts. Chloe froze mid-step. Her father hung up, turned to her, totally panicked. This is a full-blown disaster, Chloe. Stellar just cut off all our contracts, and the entire Hayes family's contracts too. Now Chloe's face changed for real. Stellar Group was a monster of a conglomerate. For the last few years, more than half of both the Miller and Hayes family businesses depended on deals with Stellar. If Stellar bailed, it wasn't just bad news. It was straight-up bankruptcy territory. Over the next few days, Chloe was drowning, trying to deal with the chaos from Stellar Group while also hunting for me. She figured I was just throwing a fit and would crawl back in a few days. But days turned into a whole week, and I was still nowhere to be found. Chloe called her assistant again. Are you 100% sure Ethan didn't go to Italy? I checked every commercial flight, the assistant replied. His name isn't on any of them. There was one private flight, but the passenger list is sealed. Chloe paused. A private jet. The Millers would never let me touch theirs, and her own jet hadn't moved an inch. So it couldn't be me, right? Still, that uneasy feeling wouldn't go away. She was even thinking about flying to Italy herself when her father called again. Chloe, Mr. Lockwood himself is coming to Chicago in 2 days, with his wife and son. This is our shot. The Lockwood family was one of the richest families in Europe. Chloe's own digging had revealed the Lockwood fortune was the financial backbone behind the entire Stellar Group. She had tried, and failed, countless times to get a meeting with Stellar's top people. A face-to-face visit from the Lockwoods? That was a golden opportunity. Just like that, Chloe shelved her plan to search for me. 3 days later, at the most over-the-top hotel in downtown Chicago, the Lockwoods hosted a gala, and basically every big shot in the country showed up. Julian was there as Chloe's date, with my parents tagging along. As they stepped out of the car, they stared, totally stunned, at the endless line of luxury vehicles. Chloe's friends were there too. Wow, the Lockwoods really don't do anything halfway. This is insane. I heard they brought their son this time, the only Lockwood heir, the ultimate bachelor. I can't wait to see him. While everyone was buzzing about the Lockwoods, Chloe turned and spotted a familiar blonde woman walking toward her. The woman smiled. Ms. Hayes, we meet again. Chloe's face locked up instantly. What are you doing here? It was the woman she'd seen me with before. The woman smiled and handed Chloe a business card. Our last meeting ended kind of abruptly. I didn't get a proper chance to introduce myself. My name is Isabella Frost. I'm a senior manager at Stellar Group. I believe we have some divestment details to discuss. My father jumped in right away. Chloe, you know someone from Stellar? Chloe's face was dark. I saw her with Ethan. My parents were shook. They'd never imagined I could be linked to someone as high-level as a Stellar Group senior manager. Then it hit my father all at once. Wait a second, Miss Frost. Your sudden decision to cancel our contracts. Does that have anything to do with Ethan? Isabella lifted an eyebrow. Before she could reply, my father rushed on. Miss Frost, I have no idea what lies that ungrateful son of mine has been feeding you, but please don't believe a word of it. He's just jealous of his brother and throwing a childish tantrum. The more he talked, the more convinced he became. Their partnership with Stellar had always been solid and profitable. Stellar had always been generous. Pulling out like this made zero sense, unless I was somehow involved. If I had a close connection to Stellar's management, then it all clicked. I must have trashed the Miller and Hayes businesses after cutting ties, convincing Stellar to pull the plug. That thought made him see red, and his words got nasty fast. That Ethan is nothing but dead weight. It's bad enough he causes drama at home. Now he's messing with the business too. That ungrateful little brat. Just wait till I get my hands on him. I'll kill him. At that, Isabella's expression turned ice cold. Mr. Miller, say one more word of this garbage and don't expect me to stay polite. I was originally planning a slow withdrawal to protect your cash flow. But if you insult him again, I'll pull everything immediately and personally make sure you go bankrupt. The Millers and Chloe were completely stunned by how fiercely Isabella defended me. Finally, Julian spoke up, sneering. Miss Frost, you're just a manager at Stellar, right? You're not even the boss. You'd really cancel massive partnerships over Ethan? Aren't you scared of ticking off your real superior? What exactly is your relationship with him that you'd risk your career like this? As he talked, Julian glanced at Chloe, seeing her face darken just like he wanted. But instead of getting rattled, Isabella laughed. You're right. I am just a manager, she said coolly, her voice sharp as a blade. But the order to terminate your contracts came directly from the chairman of Stellar Group. Chloe's voice turned icy. Who is your chairman? I want to meet him. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Isabella replied with a weird little smile. Besides, Miss Hayes, you've already met our chairman. Chloe was stunned. Stellar had been her company's biggest client for years, yet she'd only ever dealt with project leads. This was her first time even meeting a senior manager, let alone the owner. Isabella let out a mocking laugh. You still don't get it, Miss Hayes? The real chairman of Stellar Group is your soon-to-be ex-husband, Ethan. What? Julian burst out laughing. Are you serious? He's a nobody who grew up dirt poor. Where would he get the money to own a company? It's obvious you two are involved, and you're just making this crap up to protect him. People nearby laughed along. Looks like Ethan really scored big. Imagine having a woman like that backing you up. Chloe's face got darker by the second. Just as the mocking peaked, a black custom stretch Lincoln rolled up to the curb. Its limited edition design stood out even among all the luxury cars. Everyone stopped dead as the door opened, and a man in a black suit stepped out. Someone gasped. That's a custom couture suit. It hasn't even hit the runway yet. I've only seen it online. That has to be Lockwood Heir. Curiosity went wild, and even Chloe couldn't look away. The second she saw the man's face, she froze completely. Others recognized him too, and my mother gasped. Ethan. It was me, stepping out after being missing for weeks. I didn't even notice Chloe or her group. I was on the phone with my adoptive mother. I know, Mom. I just finished visiting the orphanage. I've changed, and I'm right at the entrance. A few days earlier, my adoptive parents told me they had business in the States and wanted me to come. I agreed without thinking, only to find out my mom had planned this whole gala. I hate these events, but I can never tell her no. I spent the day at the orphanage I grew up in, donating a ton of money and supplies. By the time I arrived, the party was about to kick off. I hung up and headed inside, until someone blocked my way. I looked up and saw my biological parents. Ethan, where have you been? And this car, how much did you blow renting it? Do you think money grows on trees? They clearly thought I used their money. The allowance they gave me couldn't even touch a car like this, so in their heads, it had to be a rental. That just pissed them off more. So much for cutting ties. You sure don't mind spending our money, do you? My mother said coldly. And that suit, Julian added. You couldn't afford that. It's gotta be fake. My mother snapped. You're wearing a knockoff to an event like this? Are you trying to embarrass the Miller family? Get back in that car right now. She tried to shove me toward the Lincoln, but I smacked her hand away. I told you, we're done. Don't touch me. I turned to leave, but someone slim stepped in front of me. I looked up. It was Chloe. Ethan, where have you been? She demanded. What are you wearing? And what's going on between you and Isabella Frost? I met her eyes. It's none of your business. It had only been a few weeks, but when Chloe looked at me, it felt like years had passed. She always knew I was good looking, not the pretty boy type like Julian, but rough and masculine. Still, the Millers never bothered buying me decent clothes. I always wore Julian's crappy hand-me-downs. Now, I looked like royalty. What happened to him? I gave her a cold look. Just sign the divorce papers when you get the chance. My lawyer told me she was refusing to sign. I could force it legally, but I didn't want the drama. This would be cleaner if she just signed. Chloe's eyes widened. Ethan, why are you so set on divorcing me? Is it because I wouldn't sleep with you? She was about to lose it when an event staff member stepped in. Excuse me, everyone. May I see your invitations? You can continue this inside. We were blocking the entrance. Feeling all the eyes on her, Chloe forced herself to cool down. Go home, she said coldly. I'll deal with you after the gala. I laughed. Go home. Can't you tell I'm here for the party? Chloe's friends burst out laughing. Ethan, do you even know where you are? This is the Lockwood family's gala. Exactly. Do you even know who the Lockwoods are? They're one of the richest families in Europe. Even if you're involved with Isabella Frost, you think that gets you into their private gala? That's hilarious. The staff member finished checking everyone else and turned to me. Sir, your invitation? I didn't pull one out. Chloe's friends lost it laughing. My father's face went red with shame. Ethan, did you really think you could crash this party by renting a car and wearing a fake suit? Stop humiliating the Miller family and get out. If you have any shame, go beg Miss Frost for forgiveness. You ungrateful kid. Do you really want to see us go bankrupt? My mother reached for me again, but I pulled back. Your problems aren't mine. And you're right. I don't have an invitation. I looked calmly at the staff member. My parents are hosting this party for me. Why would I need one? The place went dead silent. Then Chloe's friends exploded into hysterical laughter. A party for you? What? You're saying you're the Lockwoods' only son. Ethan, everyone knows you're the Miller family's resident bumpkin. We haven't seen you in a while. Were you getting treated for delusions? Because it clearly didn't work. You're still talking nonsense. They laughed till they were crying. My parents were furious. You've completely lost it. Saying garbage like this. My mother grabbed my arm hard. Get back here right now. Chloe's face hardened and she moved to step in. But then a powerful voice cut through the chaos. What seems to be the problem here? Everyone went dead quiet and looked up as a man and a woman walked out of the hotel. Someone sucked in a sharp breath. It's Mr. and Mrs. Lockwood. The whole vibe flipped in a second. My mom hurriedly smoothed her dress and tried to pull herself together. As Mrs. Lockwood came closer, her eyes landed on the red marks on my wrist where my mom had grabbed me. Her face instantly turned ice cold. What's going on here? My mom opened her mouth to explain, but Julian jumped in and cut her off. It's nothing, Mrs. Lockwood. My brother's just being stupid, cracking a joke about being your son. A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd. My parents completely freaked out. Even though I was the one who said it, they were terrified of what this could mean for the Miller family. My dad rushed to cover it up. Our apologies. Our son has some issues. Please forgive his foolish behavior. My parents stared at the Lockwoods nervously, but their expressions only got colder. How absurd, Mr. Lockwood said, his voice dripping with pure contempt. I've watched Ethan grow up. I wasn't aware he had any issues. The entire place fell into a suffocating silence. My parents stood there frozen, unable to process what he'd just said. Before they could even react, Mrs. Lockwood pulled me into her arms, gently rubbing my wrist. My darling boy, are you all right? Those words, my darling boy, hit like a bomb. Everyone froze. Julian was the first to blurt something out. Ethan, your adoptive parents are the Lockwoods. Mrs. Lockwood looked straight at him, her voice sharp as a blade. Adoptive? Ethan is our son. That sealed it. No one could speak. Especially Chloe's friends, who had been mocking me just moments ago. Their faces turned ghost white in pure terror. The so-called country bumpkin Ethan was actually the Lockwood heir. Remembering how they'd trashed me earlier, they panicked and rushed to apologize. Ethan, we were just talking nonsense before. Please don't take it seriously. Please be the bigger person and forgive us. I frowned, about to say I didn't care, but my mom cut in, her voice hard as steel. Actions have consequences. Is that a concept you people fail to understand? The silence came back even heavier than before. Her gaze was downright chilling. Those of you who insulted my son will bring your parents to our home to formally apologize. Then she shifted her eyes to my biological parents and Chloe. As for the rest of you, Ethan was merciful. He only terminated your contracts. I, however, am not that kind. I want you bankrupt. Mrs. Lockwood didn't bluff. With ruthless speed, she tore apart the Miller and Hayes supply chains. The Miller family was pushed right to the edge of bankruptcy. My biological parents started camping outside my hotel every single day, hoping blood ties would soften me. But the Lockwoods made sure they never even got close. Chloe, though, was tougher. She barely managed to stabilize her company, but it drained her completely. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, barely holding it together. One night, as she left the office, she saw Julian waiting for her. Chloe, he said, eyes glassy. My parents haven't talked to me in days. I didn't know what else to do, so I came to you. With their own world falling apart, my parents clearly didn't have time for him anymore. Chloe sounded worn out. What do you want, Julian? A promise, he said anxiously. You're not going to be like them, right? Now that you know who Ethan's family is, you're not going to choose him over me, are you? When are you finalizing the divorce? Julian was terrified for real. He thought he had won when I left, but he never imagined my adoptive family would be this powerful. Now, even his own parents wanted nothing to do with him. If Chloe dumped him too, he'd be left with absolutely nothing. At the word divorce, Chloe's expression shifted. Ethan and I aren't officially divorced. Don't talk like that. She turned to leave, but Julian's desperate voice stopped her. So you're just like them. You only care about the Lockwood name. How could you do this to me? Did you forget the promise you made before marrying him? Did you forget I've been waiting all these years? Did you forget who saved you from that ravine on the hunting trip? Guilt flickered across Chloe's face, but that last line made her stop cold. She snapped her head toward him. What did you just say? Julian's eyes were red as he answered. I saved you from a ravine. What's wrong with that? Chloe narrowed her eyes. But I passed out in a cave. Julian froze. When Chloe got lost on that hunting trip, I was the one who went after her, ignoring the danger and dragging her out. While I was recovering, Julian stole all the credit. He didn't even know what really happened. He just heard doctors mention injuries consistent with a fall and made up the ravine story. He scrambled to fix his lie, but Chloe ran an empire. She wasn't stupid. Her voice turned cold. Did you run into any wild animals that day? Julian couldn't even look at her. No, he muttered. Whatever warmth she had left vanished. She remembered hearing wolves howling, then a gunshot. Before, she'd been blinded by gratitude and guilt, never questioning it. But now it was obvious. Julian didn't have the skills to save her from wolves. So if it wasn't him, then who? The answer hit hard. Chloe grabbed his arm. Julian, she said, her voice icy. You know I hate liars more than anything. I'll give you one last chance. Who actually saved me? Under the pressure, he broke. It was Ethan. Ethan saved you. Chloe felt all the strength leave her legs and staggered back. Her ever-efficient assistant had overheard everything and already called the hunting reserve. After a few quick calls, she had the truth. She leaned in and said softly, Ms. Hayes, it's confirmed. Mr. Miller rescued you. He fought off a pack of wolves and was bitten multiple times. Chloe shuddered. Wolves. That explained why I'd looked so pale when I came back, and why I never said a word. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I knew no one would care. The realization crushed her. Without hesitation, she turned to leave. Julian snapped out of it and shouted, Chloe, where are you going? So I lied, so what? Don't you love me? If you go to Ethan now, don't ever come back to me. Her steps slowed for a second. Julian's eyes lit up. He thought he still had a chance. Then she spoke, cold and flat. Then I guess we won't. She walked away without looking back. Chloe was desperate to find me. She'd held back before to stabilize her company, refusing to look weak in front of the Lockwoods. But now she couldn't wait another second. I refused to see her. She panicked. Her parents panicked too. I told you to treat Ethan better, her mom snapped. If you'd been kinder, he never would have left. If you'd had a child, he wouldn't have even thought about it. A child? Chloe froze. Then realization hit. The child. She rushed to the fertility clinic and found the doctor. Our embryos. Ethan's and mine. Start the implantation now. But the doctor looked uneasy. Ms. Hayes. I'm sorry. Your husband had all the embryos destroyed. What did you say? Her face drained of color. The doctor explained nervously. Mr. Miller bought the clinic. He became my boss. I had no choice. Chloe barely heard him. She stumbled back, horrified. I'd been planning the divorce even then. Finally, she came to my hotel. She waited 3 days and 3 nights, catching us just before we left the country. When my parents saw her, they moved to call security, but I stopped them. I'll talk to her. She looked wrecked, eyes red, face hollow. Ethan, she begged. Please, let's fix this. I'll be good to you. Just don't leave me. She believed everything came down to sex. 3 years without consummation. She thought if she finally gave herself to me, I'd come back. From now on, I cut her off, my voice cold. Chloe, do you really think this is about sex? She froze. I loved you once, I continued. But I don't anymore. Those words shattered her. That's impossible, she whispered. You can't not love me. I saved you, I said flatly. To settle a debt. Her face went blank. You saved me from kidnapping. A life for a life. Except it was all fake. I never owed you anything. She went pale. I know everything, I said. You married me for your family. You planned to divorce me. So tell me, was it my fault I got lost as a kid? I looked her dead in the eye. Chloe, what did I ever do wrong? Her heart shattered. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. Before I showed up, I said calmly, "You had a perfect life. My existence ruined it. So now I'm out. I'm leaving. Everything can go back to how it used to be. Isn't that what all of you wanted anyway?" With that, I turned around and walked off, no hesitation, not even a second glance back. "Ethan," Chloe cried out, instinctively wanting to chase after me, but her feet felt glued to the ground, heavy like lead. She just couldn't move. In the end, her assistant couldn't take it anymore. "Ms. Hayes, why won't you tell him the real story?" Chloe asked blankly. "What real story?" "The truth about the kidnapping," the assistant said urgently. "You planned the fake one. Yeah, but you were seriously injured saving him from the real one. Hardly anyone knew what actually happened during that kidnapping. Even Chloe's closest friends believe she had staged the whole thing herself. But the truth was way messier. Chloe had planned a fake kidnapping, but things went sideways when a real gang intercepted it. They took out her hired actors and kidnapped both Julian and me for real. So when my parents chose Julian and left me behind, my life was genuinely on the line. Those men were killers, straight up, and they fully intended to silence me for good. It was Chloe who, after finding out the truth, stormed their hideout alone like a madwoman. She was stabbed 3 times and almost died pulling me out of there. Just remembering it made her dizzy. For years, she kept asking herself why she had done it, why she'd risked everything to save me. She always told herself it was because the whole disaster was her fault. If I had died, the guilt would have crushed her, and it would have wrecked the relationship between our families. But deep down, she knew that wasn't the real reason. In that moment, she hadn't been thinking at all. There was only one overpowering impulse. She couldn't let me die. For a split second, she even wondered if maybe, way back then, she'd already fallen in love with me. And now, finally, she was ready to face the truth. She loved me. When I first came back, she resented me hard, for suddenly showing up, for replacing Julian, for somehow becoming her fiancé. She'd only agreed to marry me because her parents pressured her. Her plan was simple: marry me, then divorce me a year or 2 later. That way, her family would be satisfied, and she'd get to punish me for Julian's sake. But somewhere along the way, things went off script. Was it when she was pretending to be affectionate and saw me blush when I shyly thanked her? Was it the first time she kissed me? She thought she was playing me, but at some point, she lost her own heart in the process. That's why she'd panicked more than anyone when she found out I was really in danger. That's why, on our wedding day, she'd secretly been happier than anyone else. And that's why for 3 whole years, even when she had the power and freedom to divorce me whenever she wanted, she never did. The truth was, she'd loved me for a long time. She just couldn't admit it. Because on our wedding day, Julian had tried to kill himself. She rushed to his side, and with tears pouring down his face, he begged her to promise she'd never be a real wife to me. Looking at the man she believed she was supposed to love, she made that promise. And Chloe always kept her word. So even though she wanted me, even though she craved me, she held on to that promise. She pushed me away, treated me coldly, acted indifferent, all just to stop herself from breaking that vow. And in doing that, she destroyed us. When this realization hit her, a metallic taste flooded her mouth, and a violent cough tore through her body. She collapsed, coughing up a mouthful of blood onto the pavement. Ms. Hayes, Chloe, was rushed to the hospital. The test results were insane. She had cancer. Aggressive, sneaky, and already in its final stage by the time it was discovered. The doctor's face was grim. "Ms. Hayes, the most effective treatment we have is a specialized stem cell therapy. The best option is for you to have a child. We can harvest the necessary cells during pregnancy. It's safe and won't harm the baby." Chloe was completely stunned. Her parents and Julian rushed to the hospital. The moment Julian heard the diagnosis, he lost it. All their past fights vanished. "Have my child," he blurted out, gripping her hand tightly. "Chloe, you don't need to marry me. You don't owe me anything. Just have a baby to save your life." He meant it. For all his schemes, his love for his childhood friend was real. He'd do anything to save her. But Chloe coldly pulled her hand away. "No." The color drained from Julian's face. Her parents burst into tears. "Chloe, this isn't the time to be stubborn. Please," Julian begged, tears streaming down. "I know you hate me right now. It doesn't have to be me. Find a stranger. Use a donor. Anything. Just have a child and live." "No." she said again, steady and firm. My child will be Ethan's, or no one's. Julian's face went ghost white. Chloe then turned to her assistant. Go to Italy. Tell Ethan I'm sick. And tell him that if he doesn't agree to have a child with me, I'll refuse all treatment. The next day in Milan, I had just woken up when my mother walked into my room, her expression complicated. Mom, I asked, what's wrong? She hesitated before speaking. I got a message from Chicago. From Chloe. She wanted me to pass something on to you. I was surprised, but my response came fast and firm. I don't want to hear it. She studied my face. Ethan, are you sure? Honestly, her first instinct had been to refuse to even deliver the message. What shocked her was learning Chloe was terminally ill, and that she was using her own life as leverage to force my hand. It was the ultimate guilt trip. Moral blackmail at its worst. She hadn't wanted to tell me, but a life was at stake, and she was afraid I'd regret it later. This is about her life, she said gently. Are you absolutely sure? I didn't hesitate. I don't want to hear it. Even if she dies, it has nothing to do with me. I wasn't being cruel or emotional. I was just stating facts. The moment I left Chicago, I'd cut all ties with her. Whatever happened to her after that wasn't my problem. My mother looked at me for a long moment, then smiled in relief. Good. I knew my son had a spine. She walked to the door and spoke coldly to the person waiting outside. Go back and tell Chloe Hayes that my son is not her medicine. If she wants to live, she'll find another way. She will not threaten him. To me, the whole thing was like tossing a pebble into a lake. A quick ripple, then silence. 6 months passed. A lot went down. The Miller family went bankrupt, and my biological parents became regular working-class folks. Once the money was gone, Julian showed his true colors. He stopped pretending to be the loving son. They finally realized he'd never loved them, only their money. Regret hit hard, but it was too late. The Hayes family didn't go bankrupt, but their company was a shell of what it used to be. One day, Chloe's lawyer came to see me. I thought it was about some leftover divorce paperwork, but he didn't beat around the bush. Mr. Miller, I'm sorry to inform you that Miss Hayes has passed away. Her will states that her entire estate is to be left to you. I was stunned. Chloe was dead. Before I knew it, I was standing in a Chicago cemetery, staring at her black and white photo on a polished headstone. My emotions were all over the place. I never imagined that 6 months ago would be the last time we ever saw each other. My mother stood beside me and spoke softly. Ethan, do you blame me? She said she'd refuse treatment unless you agreed to have a child with her. You said you didn't care whether she lived or died, so I chose not to burden you with the details. If you're angry, be angry with me. I turned from the grave and smiled at her. Mom, don't be silly. You were clear. I'm the one who said her life and death had nothing to do with me. That was my decision. Her eyes wavered. But if I had told you everything, even if you had, I said calmly, I wouldn't have saved her. It was her life to live or throw away. She had no right to use it to chain me. She had kept her word. After I refused, she rejected every other option. Without treatment, she didn't last 6 months. And knowing that, I felt no guilt, no regret. Some people might call her actions romantic. I only saw emotional blackmail. Maybe she did love me, but love that comes that late is worthless. And her final move was disgusting. Did she really think that loving me gave her the right to threaten me with her own death? To force me back, to force a child, to trap me forever? That's not love. That's pure selfishness. She was sick, yeah, but not just with cancer. I looked down at her picture. Even in death, she only thought about herself. But she was wrong. I wouldn't be trapped by her guilt trip. I'd been indifferent long before I left. Her death didn't change a damn thing. So I turned and walked away from her grave without looking back. Donate her entire estate to charity, I told the lawyer later. I don't want a single cent. As for Julian, I heard he was truly wrecked by Chloe's death at first. But life moves on. He eventually latched onto a rich older woman as his benefactor. Too bad for him. Her husband was ruthless. Julian got beaten so badly he was permanently disfigured. Once his looks were gone, he had nothing left. He died alone from some miserable disease. So much changed in just 1 year. My life was finally back on track, finally mine. From now on, the sky was the limit, and my future was nothing but